Your dreams are bigger, bolder, and more badass than the life you're living now, but something just keeps getting in the way. Join certified coach and former therapist Diann for the Driven Woman podcast. She'll show you how to get rid of whatever is holding you back so you can stop spinning your wheels and up-level your life. Get ready to hop in and buckle up. This is the Driven Woman podcast, and we're heading for the fast lane.
Well, hey there, and welcome back to my fellow driven woman. Have you noticed that lately we have been talking a lot about fear? Are you wondering why? Well, let me tell you. It's one of the things that I hear from my coaching clients more often than just about anything else. They're ready to change. They want to change. They'd like to narrow the gap between where they are and where they want to be. They can see a vision for their future, their dreams, their plans, their goals, but they're afraid. They tell me, well, I don't know what it's going to be like. I've never done this before. Or what if I fall flat on my face? Or what if I make a fool of myself? What if I waste my money and my time? What if? You know, it's very normal to be afraid of change, even though you want it at the same time. Sometimes what we don't know about how the brain and the mind work really get in our way. So I wanted to break that down for you in this episode. And if you did not listen to my conversation with my good friend John Sovec on episode 48, you want to go back and check that one out as well, kind of building on the theme of dealing with fear. But before we get into the content, I want to share with you one of my recent podcast reviews. This one is from Sarah Travel Gal, who says, "Not everyone is born a hyper-focused productivity guru. Diann's show is perfect for driven, high-achieving women who want to improve how they manage their time and energy. I love her mission and message." Thank you, Sarah Travel Gal. That is exactly what I love to hear. And, you know, for somebody who is pushing forward towards their goals, whether it's launching a podcast, starting a business, sometimes it's ending something, ending a business, ending a relationship, admitting that you don't love something you're doing anymore and you need to let it go. Change can be hard. But if we understand how the brain works, if we understand how to repurpose fear as excitement, that can really change everything. So I'm excited to keep on building on this theme of dealing with fear and not letting it hold us back with this episode that I called Habits, Change, and Fears, Oh My. So I hope you enjoy it. Let me know in a podcast review. Here we go. Hey, I'm sure I am not the only one who gets to the end of the day feeling tired and knowing I've been busy, but still having the feeling that I really haven't gotten anything done. There are a lot of reasons for this feeling, including having unrealistic expectations and standards, hand raised, being a type A person, another hand raised, a perfectionist, oh, I'm out of hands, OCD, even being a person with low self-esteem who just never thinks anything they do is enough because they don't think they are enough. Now, if any or all of these labels accurately apply to you, there are a few simple explanations for what actually gets done and what doesn't. And it has nothing to do with how important the things that need to get done are. It turns out it's almost entirely based on how our brain works and the power of habit and how hard we resist change in our lives. So let's take those one at a time, and I'll break them down. Let's start with how the brain works. The brain is world-class at organizing information into categories. This is so that information can be stored and retrieved later. Can you even imagine the chaos in your brain if this was not the case? It would be like 1 million files in your computer with no folders, no organizing system, maybe no file names. So it's a really good thing that the brain likes categories. The problem when it comes to what gets done is that all your tasks, all your goals, and all the things that require effort, from making dinner, writing reports for work, booking travel for a vacation, hiring a member of your team, those things all get assigned labels that make the categories work. You, by the way, are the one that assigns those labels. Some of them are conscious labels, such as marketing, and others are unconscious labels like boring, tedious, useless. And they usually get tied to the emotion you felt the first few times you did that task. Well, brains learn really quickly how we feel about things, how we actually feel about things, not the way we think we do or think we should. So when the brain is assigning labels to tasks, they add in that emotional component. The one where you're thinking, this is so boring, this is so tedious, this is so pointless. So later, when we have to do that task again, we don't even have to start the task to feel the emotion that the brain assigned the first time. Just think of the task, I have to get that campaign brochure started, or I have 9 shirts to iron. Just thinking of it will fire up that feeling immediately. Well, needless to say, unless you're a masochist, the only tasks that you will get going on are the ones that you coded with a positive emotion, unless you have a backup system for getting things done. More on that in a minute. So that's how the brain works. So next, we're going to talk about the power of habit. Many people resist creating rituals and routines, the building blocks of habits. They think that all that structure takes the freedom out of life, making it dull, mechanistic, boring. And I totally disagree. You see, I believe that habits actually free us by making the necessary so automatic that we completely eliminate decision fatigue. We also eliminate procrastination, resistance, and avoidance. Those things prevent us from doing our most important work. For most of my life, my morning routine, if you want to call it that, was dictated by the needs of others. Kids had to be woken up, fed, dressed, lunches made, backpacks fetched, chauffeured to school. And when I became self-employed about 10 years ago, work meant being somewhere every weekday at the same time, same place, wearing the appropriate wardrobe options, and preparing to spend the next 8 to 10 hours doing what was expected by others. Well, for the last number of years, I have been working for myself, progressively taking on more and more of the need for self-reliance in the way my days are structured, and going from an office where I was employed by others to an office where I was employed by myself to a co-working space, and then working from home. I was so grateful when this pandemic hit because I had already learned how to manage my day and my time independently from home. For those who are still learning how to do this, the struggle is real, and I feel your pain. Well, for the first 6 years that I was self-employed, I was a licensed psychotherapist and seeing clients in an office. So I would schedule them back to back in 1-hour increments. I knew when I had to show up. I knew when I had to end each session because the next client was already there waiting. None of this required any self-direction. I was simply responding to the established routine and expectations of others. By the 7th year, I had trained and certified as a coach and started working with clients online. I maintained the private office for a while because it had been my comfort zone. In other words, my habit. Eventually cutting back to part-time in the office and eventually working from home. Once I finally gave up the office and the co-working space, I didn't know if it was going to work or not. And this speaks very clearly to the power of habit, because having a designated place to go to work, even if it's not the traditional office, is really helpful for a lot of people. It definitely helped me. Well, later, we moved from Los Angeles to Portland and bought a townhouse large enough for me to have my own home office. Now, it was up to me and only me to create all of the structure, the rituals, routines, habits, and mindset to get things done, because there was nobody but me to make sure I did. And there was no external structure that I could plug into as well. Honestly, it's been one of the biggest challenges of my life so far. Now that I understand the way the ADHD brain works, I know why. Now, I really understand how I was able to be so productive all of those years. The structure and the accountability were baked right in. All I had to do was plug in. Now it's up to me to create and sustain the conditions that support me in getting stuff done, the right stuff done, without having to lock myself away for 100 hours a week in a self-imposed cell called the home office. It is my goal to learn everything I can about being productive while working from home and to share that with as many people who need it as I can. Maybe you are one of them. Another thing I want to cover today is why we resist change so much, even when we know it'll be good for us. Wanting things to stay the same and resisting change can become character traits. One of the 4 key traits that define human temperament is openness to change, and people do vary widely on that. That being said, the human brain resists change no matter what kind of temperament or personality you have. And this is because the brain has to work harder when we change. And brains are kind of lazy that way. I mean, your brain only wants you to stay alive. And if you're alive, whatever you're doing is good enough for your brain. Now, optimizing, leveling up, maximizing your potential, that's not even on your brain's list of priorities. I'm pretty sure it couldn't care less. And there's no use in being upset about this. I mean, there are always workarounds. I just want you to know the truth about why it's hard to start an exercise routine, stop biting your cuticles, or learn to meditate. It's hard to start a habit, and it's hard to stop one. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it anyway. I just want to warn you that it is hard, so you shouldn't blame yourself, and you shouldn't give up. Keep persisting. It really does get better with time, and eventually your brain will cease and desist, recognizing that the new habit is now the default. So stick with it. Lastly, the force of fear. Fear has a really bad rap with a lot of folks. And one of our recent podcast episodes, my guest and I, John Sovec, and I talk about facing fear and embracing change. But I think fear is directly responsible for a lot of success in this world. Now, that may be surprising, but think about it. Fear of failure has made many highly successful people rise to the top. Many startup founders do what's close to impossible and break through to the winner's circle. Many a mom of a special needs child does whatever it takes to fight the system and to get what her kid needs to live the best chance in life. Fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of embarrassment, fear of financial ruin have propelled countless humans beyond inner and outer obstacles and far beyond their wildest dreams. So the way I look at it, fear can shut you down, but fear can also be fuel, and it can absolutely serve your highest and best goals and plans. Now, all of this is possible if you understand how fear actually works and how you can make it work for you. If you don't know this, fear will probably destroy your dreams by convincing you that every time you feel it, you should just stop. That you're doing the wrong thing, that you are destined to fall flat on your face, lose all of your investors' money, and have to live in your mom's basement for the rest of your adult life. Many people approach fear that way. As soon as they feel fear, they stop. But the magical truth is that the physical sensations of fear, the dry mouth, the rapid heart rate, muscle tension, narrowed pupils, shallow breathing, laser focus, all of these physical sensations we identify with fear are identical to the physical sensations of excitement. Think about it. I even trained myself not to be afraid when I went skydiving on a milestone birthday a few years ago. As the plane ascended, I began to notice that I was starting to feel fear, even though I was determined not to. My mind started racing. I started thinking, what the hell am I doing? This is a mistake. I could get killed. And there was the 17-page informed consent and the 17-minute video that I had to watch telling me essentially you could get killed, like I didn't know. Anyway, of course I was feeling fear. That's only natural. I'm about to jump out of an airplane at, 13,000 feet? But by looking at the contents of my thought stream, literally thinking, this is a mistake, what the hell am I doing? I could get killed. And taking the time to breathe deeply with my eyes closed, choosing to consciously shift my thoughts to how excited I was to be having this experience, I was able to jump fear-free. My husband was so terrified of me jumping out of an airplane that I literally had to send him home because he was stressing me out. I had the jump videotaped, and eventually I was able to convince him to watch it. When he finally did, he was totally astonished to see that I was laughing and smiling the entire time, even at the exact moment I went out the door, the moment of truth when it comes to fear for skydiving. So, to sum, here's what you need to know in order to move forward based on your understanding of the brain and change and fear. It's perfectly normal that you don't feel like changing your habits. It's absolutely human to be afraid. You are right in the middle of your comfort zone right now, whatever you're doing, and the habits you've got in this moment and the lifestyle you are living right now is based on those habits. Now, if I was a fairy godmother instead of a kick-ass coach, maybe I could automatically change both your habits and your attitude so that whatever you were about to embark on would be effortless, fearless. But even if I could, I wouldn't do it. I know you're probably hating me a little bit right now, but that's okay too. I am a big girl and I can handle it. But I want you to know the reason why I wouldn't change them for you, even if I was a fairy godmother and had a magic wand. Because by taking away the process, I would be taking away the pride. You have no idea how great you are going to feel about yourself when you overcome your resistance, your fear, your habits, and actually earn the change that you are going to make in your life. I want that for you because it's so worth it. But here's what I will do. Stick with me. Keep on listening to The Driven Woman. I promise to show you every shortcut, every mind trick, every brain hack, and every ninja skill I know to make it easier, faster, and a lot more fun. Do we have a deal? I thought so. Keep on listening and face your fear. It's worth it.
Hey, it's Diann. Can I be honest with you? At the beginning of each new year, I always told myself, this is the year I'm going to get my habits dialed in. This is the year I'm going to be crystal clear about my goals and I'm going to crush them. This is the year I'm going to get my shit together on every level and I'm going to do it all by myself. Been there, done that, got a whole stack of t-shirts. But it wasn't until I started working with my own coach that I realized what a difference it makes to have guidance, support, and accountability from someone who's not only like-minded, but like-brained. Yeah, I'm talking about another driven woman, entrepreneur, who also has ADHD and has got it going on. I have 2 openings in my signature one-on-one 12-week coaching program, and one of them might have your name on it. There's a link to a free consult with me in the show notes if you think this might be the year that you really get serious and go all in on an ADHD-friendly business and life. While you're thinking about that, have a listen to what one of my clients' success stories has to say about the difference it made to work with me.
So I remember when we talked about what you introduced as habit stacking, so pairing your habits, and when you did initially bring that up, my initial reaction was like, ugh, like that sounds awful. Like, I don't want to do that. But that was like one of the first things that one of the first shifts that our work together had changed. And that is something that I'm grateful for every day. So the first thing I do in the morning is I go pee. And so what your advice was, take your medication, right after, have your glass of water there in the bathroom. And so that's sort of my daily routine is going to the bathroom, taking my medication, contacts, coffee. Yeah. And it's great because it just cuts out any chance of forgetting, which then would lead to kind of lollygagging around. And then like, oh, wait, have I taken it? I should take it. Wait, but that's one other thing. And so that really starts off the day so consistently and well. So that is the first thing. And then with regards to the rest of my morning routine, my best friend and I, we live together and we exercise in the morning now. So we've been doing that for the past 4 months, like at least 4 days a week. And so we do beach body, and it's just really fun because we do have the accountability of there's going to be someone waiting for you. So your butt better be up.
You've been listening to the Driven Woman podcast with Diann Wingert. Want more straight talk and strategy each week that will take you from spinning to winning? Don't forget to hit subscribe in your podcast player so you won't miss a single episode. Then head on over to the Driven Woman free and private Facebook group community. See you there.